This is the greatest race meeting in the world, and yet I can honestly say that when I go there every year, the race I most want to win is the Ascot Gold Cup.
Double Trigger has galloped them into the ground in the Gold Cup. He's 6 lengths clear of Abroswell and Moonax, and Double Trigger will win it in tremendous style.
When Double Trigger took the 1995 Ascot Gold Cup, it kick-started an incredible flow of Royal Ascot winners that has seen trainer Mark Johnston amass another 34 victories at the Royal Meeting, including 2 more Gold Cups.
Royal Rebel just in front, Passion Punch rallying all the way to the line. Royal Rebel's just in front and won it.
Only fourth through the centre wiring, thrust to the front in the Gold Cup. Royal Rebel the far side, Vinnie Rowe the near side. Royal Rebel getting back up close home, will win back-to-back Ascot Gold Cup.
But it is in the Queen's Vase that the Middleham handler has the most impressive record, bagging no fewer than 6 wins since 2001.
It's Double Honour being pressed by Aquarius through the middle and beyond, and it's and beyond who just comes home the stronger, and beyond a double for Mark Johnson.
Driven out towards the line, Shanty Star, a relentless galloping performance, another Royal Ascot winner for Mark Johnston. Shanty Star wins the Queen's Vase. Melrose Avenue digging deep, digging in, holding off Mr. Vegas, and Melrose Avenue will win for Kevin Darley and Mark Johnston, the Queen's Vase. Soapy Danger is running on relentlessly. 2 lengths back to Galliant, then Ermine C. Out wider road to Mandalay. It's Soapy Danger hanging on from Galliant, who's trying to reduce the margin, but the resurgent Mark Johnston yard win the Queen's Vase again. Soapy Danger beats Galliant with Ermine C in 3rd.
HOLBERG finding plenty on the far side though. Really quicken up there did HOLBERG, and quickly puts daylight between himself and the others. Yankee Doodle will snatch 2nd, but HOLBERG sprints clear to win the Queen's Vase. They go head and head. Namibian on the far side, Solar Sky on the near side, neither flinching an inch. Namibian from Solar Sky. Namibian is going to get there. Namibian wins the Queen's Vase from Solar Sky in a magnificent finish.
Queen's Vase is a little bit unique in that it's really the first proper staying race for 3-year-olds of the year, and I think at that stage most of us don't know what are the real stayers. Maybe somebody with the gene typing knows more than me, but no. So I always believe with the Queen's Vase that you can, in many years, you can win it with a 1.5 mile horse. So I will tend to keep the options open very much to the last minute, and you'll see that almost invariably those horses entered in the Queen's Vase will also be entered in the King George V handicap, the King Edward VII, depending on how good they are, and I will juggle it at the last minute. I remember the year Soapy Danger and LINA'S Selection were there, and it was literally an 11th hour decision which one ran in which race, and they both won.
LINA'S Selection, and it's Mark Johnston who'll be enjoying the moment. LINA'S Selection wins the last, a treble for Mark Johnston.
Many of Johnston's major successes may have come with stayers, but it's horses with solid middle-distance pedigrees that Mark has truly excelled with.
Frankie keeping Mr. Bailey's in front. He's a half length clear now, trying hard as Sun 40 or late, but Mr. Bailey's is just going to get there to win the Royal Lodge. Bijou Dan's fighting back on the far side. Bijou Dan trying very hard. Ashkelani and Bijou Dan. Bijou Dan got back up to win from in 2nd place Ashkelani.
I discovered very early on, I probably always believed, that those scopy middle distance horses, a lot of them will beat the early 2-year-olds. The reason, they used to say that Jack Berry's horses didn't train on because he was too hard on them. I don't think that was ever the case. I think it was simply that he got them out before the better quality horses came out, and he won an awful lot of early 2-year-old races with horses that if you waited till June and July, they wouldn't win over even over 5 furlongs. They wouldn't win when the better quality horses come out. So jumping about a bit here, but if you think back to Mr. Bailey's, he won the Guineas, he ran in the Derby. He was the fastest horse at the time I'd trained over any trip. Yeah. I would be absolutely convinced of that. And even although we had likes of Marina Park, who was a group class 6 furlong horse, I think he was faster. I think he possibly, a lot of people said we shouldn't have gone up and trip. We could have gone back and run in the July Cup or something. And they certainly said that about Bijou Dan, that he shouldn't have gone up to the Eclipse. He should have gone back and run in a July Cup. And I'm sure that's possible with an awful lot of these horses. I would probably say that Mr. Bailey's was the fastest horse I'd trained.
That was until the season of 2003, when a filly with helicopter front legs propelled herself up the Middleham gallops. Mark had seen this sort of action before with Millstream, winner of the 2004 Cornwallis Stakes. However, this filly was different. She was quicker. She was by a physio, and her name was Attraction.
Attraction quickens up a shade more now. Attraction, Catstar is chasing though on the stands rail. It's Attraction in front by a length and a half to 2 lengths. She's got too many legs, she's too quick. Attraction, leading Attraction all the way in the Queen Mary.
To some extent, they were good because of their conformation, not in spite of it, because we threw a bit of caution to the wind. They were horses that nobody expected the world of, and so we got on with them early. Both Millstream and Attraction conformationally. Millstream used to walk it was as if one leg was shorter than the other, so there was virtually never a sound day. So these were horses that worked on through thick and thin, and I would certainly rate Attraction as the toughest horse I've ever trained. People label our horses as tough all the time, but if you went to Attraction's box to look at her in the afternoon, she was either eating or lying down. Now, some people have suggested that's because her knees were sore and that she lay down a lot, but she was the perfect racehorse to train in that sense. She ate everything she was given, she slept a lot, and she worked hard when she went out.
Attraction strung together an unbeaten run of 8 races, including dual classic victories in the English and Irish 1,000 guineas.
Attraction, the English Guineas winner, bidding to be the first ever to complete the double, is kicked for home under Kevin Darley, and it's Attraction now from Alexander Gold Run. Illustrious Miss is staying on, but up towards the finish, she's done it. Attraction wins the Boyle Sports 1,000 guineas and completes the magic double. Alexander Gold Run, Illustrious Miss, followed in by Kinnaird.
But arguably, the biggest victory of them all came at Royal Ascot, in the Coronation Stakes. Many had questioned how, given her unusual action, the filly might handle her first time going round a bend. In a little over a minute and a half of exhilarating front-running, Attraction emphatically silenced her doubters.
It's still Attraction by 3 lengths. Oh, this is a freak filly, a wonder filly. Attraction scores away to maintain her unbeaten record and wins the Coronation Stakes.
Just as Attraction was scorching the Ascot turf, a new superstar was beginning to emerge at Kingsley House.
Very, very strange coincidence here. When you have something like Attraction in the yard, you think, I could never have another horse like this in a lifetime. And there we had Shamardal in the yard at the same time, a year younger. And the similarity between those two was that they were such quiet horses. Attraction would have a buck and a kick and so on, but you could take them, the pair of them, you could take them to the races and a child could lead them up. They were both horses that would wander around the parade ring, head down. They would canter to the start very, very quietly, go in the stalls very, very quietly, and then explode out and make all. And Shamardal, more than Attraction, we didn't really have any idea that he was a decent horse until we started doing fast work with him. You didn't get any impression that he was a decent horse on the canter until one day Keith Dalglish rode him on the gallops, and Keith wasn't one for saying a lot after a piece of work, and I'll always remember him coming back to me and saying to me, the only question with this horse is where would you like it to win, because it will win anywhere you take it. And he was absolutely right.
Mark decided Ayr was to be the starting point for Shamardal, and he duly obliged by 8 lengths. By the end of an unbeaten 2004 season, the son of Giant's Causeway was rightly crowned European champion 2-year-old after an impressive victory in the Dewhurst. Shamardal was then transferred to Saïd bin Surour's team for his 3-year-old campaign, where his career culminated in a stunning victory at Royal Ascot at York.
and Shamardal shows no sign of stopping here. It's Shamardal by 6 or 7 lengths. Ad Valorem moves into second place, but a superb win by the superb Shamardal.
Mark now has many of Shamardal's offspring under his care.
I love Shamardal. You know, I really think he's a fantastic stallion, and it's ridiculous with something that's been so successful and is pretty expensive to say underrated. But I think he is an underrated horse. You know, he lived a little bit. You couldn't say he lived in the shadow of Dubawi as a racehorse, but Dubawi tended to be first string. Went to the English Guineas when Shamardal went to France and so on. And as a stallion, Dubawi has possibly had a bit more publicity and coverage than Shamardal, because Shamardal's Group 1 winners tend to be spread around the world. And I've got 22-year-olds here by Shamardal, and I think you couldn't have a better bunch.
All of these major winners were trained from Mark's base at Kingsley House. But after 17 years of training on the moors of Middleham, Johnston purchased an old dairy farm and converted it into a 270-acre, state-of-the-art training establishment, consisting of 3 grass gallops and an all-weather tappeta gallop. And it is from here, at Park Farm Stables, where Johnston is planning his team for the 2013 Royal Meeting.
Off the top of my head, I would say I'm aiming for somewhere between 15 and 20 runners. I don't feel like I've got a real banker at this point for this year, but we have horses who, for instance, Windhoek, who almost certainly his next run will be at Royal Ascot, and he'll probably go for the Tercentenary, I can't remember what it used to be called, but the Group 3 over 1.25 miles. And then there's Maputo and Shabibi, who have both won handicaps in the last few days, and they'll suddenly be coming. You know, that's how a horse can suddenly spring into the Ascot picture. Shabibi will be for the Britannia, I would say, and Maputo, I would be waiting to see what the handicapper does next week, but also not really sure. He's won over 1.25 miles, whether we come back to a mile for the Britannia or whether we go up to 1.5 miles for the King George V handicap. And races like the King George V handicap, I will be very much waiting to the last minute. Horses will be falling into the picture, and some of those horses might even then be good enough to be diverted to either the King Edward VII or, more importantly, the Queen's VASE. Also, there's 2-year-olds, of course. I'll be trying to have 2-year-olds for the races. A race I love is the Chesham, and because it's 7 furlongs, really that is often a last-minute decision. The horse has to be qualified for the Chesham as well, so it must be by a sire who has won over 1.25 miles. I've got a 2-year-old called Somewhat that hasn't run yet that I fancy as a Chesham horse if I can get him out and win with him before then.
So, 18 years after registering his first Royal Ascot victory, Mark Johnston heads back to Berkshire with another big team to raid the Royal Meeting. He's unlikely to have a contender for the Gold Cup, but with only one blank year since 1995, Mark Johnston is highly likely to be making that familiar walk onto the winner's podium.